Did you get caught self-loving by your mom?
Awkward. It is awkward.
Did you do something that got you fired from your job?
I just get stupider.
It's fun being stupid.
Don't hide this in vain. Let us laugh at your pain. Call 600-KFMA right away.
I promise we won't embarrass you.
Because Beef Vegan presents F My Life. F My Life. F My Life.
Yes, it's time for another edition of your F My Life. These are unfortunate situations. Email to me at beefvegan@kfma.com, subject line FML. But of course, if you have an F My Life you care to share on the air, and give us a call at 600-KFMA. That's 600-5362. And Mario and I will weigh in on your F My Life situation. If we agree your life is F, we'll hook you up with tickets to either your Tucson Roadrunners or FC Tucson, a professional soccer action happening this weekend. Are you ready, Mario?
I am.
All right, first email sent to me by Marcella. Marcella said, today I found out I have celiac disease.
Ooh,
I also happen to be a baker and will constantly be reminded of all the wheat products I can no longer enjoy. Ooh, that's got to be rough, huh?
That is very sad.
Is that F My Life?
I think so. I mean, gluten-free stuff is eatable. Like, you can eat it. It tastes okay.
Okay.
They've made a lot of progress in that department, but
She's a baker, though. She knows what the good stuff tastes like.
oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, would you switch professions if you were her?
No.
That's like if you're addicted to crack and then you're a crack dealer. You can't be a crack dealer and addicted to crack, you know?
Maybe you just don't get high off your own supply, though. Like they say that.
That's true. I mean, I did, work at Dunkin' Donuts a long time when I was a kid, and it took me a decade to be able to even see a donut,
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully you'll get so sick of baking that you don't want to eat any baked goods. And I think
Exactly.
you'll lose weight, too, low carb.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's a silver lining. Still F My Life. Anytime you get diagnosed with a disease, it should be an
Yeah,
F My
yeah.
Life.
It's not a big baby.
Yeah. All right. Next F My Life sent to me by Jason. Jason said, last night my girlfriend told me that if I shaved, my penis might seem bigger.
Oh,
All right. F My Life for that.
yeah. That's a bummer.
Well, she's not wrong.
No?
I know. I mean, if you manscape, it's all about the optical illusion. A lot
Oh.
of guys just let it just be hidden in the bush there, the shrubbery, if you will. And that's not good. And I learned that a long time ago when I was a young man.
Oh wow.
I was like, yeah, I need to trim this up. Oh, look at me. I just gained an inch.
Kitchen scissors.
No, not kitchen
Oh.
scissors. My friend's face shaver, which is
Oh.
not, I know. He was not happy about that. Yeah. So I figure we'll agree, disagree, move forward. Good luck to you, Jason. All right. Next email sent to me by Ryan said, I recently caught my son trying to punch his own teeth out so he'd get more money from the tooth fairy.
Oh
Now, you're a mom of two boys.
yes.
Would you consider that an F My Life if you're like, damn it, one of my boys is dumb?
No, or he's smart.
Or
he
an
wants
genius.
to make money.
He wants
yeah.
all the money. He's like, these are baby teeth anyways.
Screw these things.
And I love hockey. So,
Yeah.
yeah, let's just bang these boys out.
Yeah.
So
Smarty.
he's F My Life or Big Baby?
I say big baby. You got Smarty on your hands.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, they could financially ruin you. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
never going to be able to financially recover from 5 teeth coming out at once.
I know those 25-cent coins. They
I
add up.
know. They look underneath their pillow and there's an IOU from the Tooth Fairy. I'll pay you next pay period. All right, 2 more left. Jonathan said, this weekend was my birthday, and I woke up with a raging hangover the next day, and my house being completely trashed from the party I really didn't want
Oh.
and could barely even remember since I got so drunk for the nerves of having to host it.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's my life.
Yeah, that regret sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I understand the nerves. I mean, I can relate to this to a certain extent. My last little birthday party that I threw, pretty much similar,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was nervous that people wouldn't show up. People did show up, ended up blacking out, and then waking up the next day hung over.
Yeah.
So Jonathan,
Destroyed house.
Yeah, did you read my diary or something? F your life. All right, final F My Life of the day sent to me by Darrell. Darrell said, I found out one time that when an officer screams, don't move or I'll tase you, it really means if you so much flinch, I'm going to shoot and 50,000 volts will be directed through your nose and groin.
Oh,
Yeah.
groin?
Yes.
Yikes.
F My Life.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. These cops like you have a splitter in the taser where it hits your nose and the groin at the same time. You
Ooh.
know that he did that on purpose.
Ooh.
Yes, definitely F My Life. You can't smell nor have kids
Really?
ever again. Well, I'm assuming worst case scenario. So yes, F My Life. All right, there you go. That was your F My Life this morning. Please welcome back very special guest all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. He's the man, the myth, the legend. He's got brand new music that he just released on all streaming platforms. So we're going to debut his latest, what we're thinking is the single, just because the way that people have been responding to it. We have Max Frost, everybody. Good morning, Max. Can you hear me?
What's happening? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I had this. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, I know that I was going to say the megastar, Max Frost. I was thinking of the intro while driving into work this morning. And yeah, I wanted to make it just large and grand, but it's good to have you back, my friend.
Yeah, man. Good to see you guys. What's going on?
Yeah. Not much, dude. We're gonna BS on a lot of stuff, but of course, we're also gonna debut on the FM airwaves here in Tucson. The Ghost off of this 4-song EP that you just released, which is beautiful. Sounds good. And you think a lot of people have been gravitating towards that song more so than the other 3 tracks on the 4 tracks on the EP?
Yes, that seems to be the case. I kind of almost measure it in how many strangers contact me who I haven't spoken to in a long time about a song when I release it, and by far this one's the most.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Like ex-girlfriends will text you out of nowhere being like, "Hey, like I still hate your guts, but this song's good, by the way. Hope you're well."
Oh.
That's a hit song in my book, and I only get it every like 5 years.
It's relatable. It's relatable. If any of them say, "Hey, is the Ghost about you? Not calling me back, you son of a bitch."
Me, yeah.
Now, you just received a coffee. You just went to go get yourself a coffee. Do you have any whiskey in that coffee? Because today is National Irish Coffee Day. Did you know that?
Huh.
I didn't know that, and I'll actually say that I am now 50 days in. I'm going to do 1 year of no booze. So this is pure coffee.
I love that, dude. And so I won't give you the Irish coffee stats because I'm not going to try to feed to breaking your streak, but I'll let you know that I did the exact same thing, right? When I was DJing, I was working the nightclubs and basically a professional alcoholic. There were several years that I was just paid to party, and I would have free drinks wherever I went, and my liver was just toast. And then I got my girl at the time pregnant. And then when my ex got pregnant, I decided right then and there just to take a break and reset physically. So I spent an entire year, maybe and some change, not touching a drop of alcohol. Smoked some weed. And honestly, like felt great. It was such a good kind of like physical and mental reset. So I like that. What's the overall goal of you going a full year? What are you hoping to accomplish?
You know, because I've done the month before, right? And I encourage anyone to try a month off if they feel like they're, too deep in it. I don't know. I guess I just feel like I owe it to myself to find out what would happen if for 1 year that just wasn't on my plate.
Yeah.
I just think that inevitably when someone lives a life like mine, where there's no rules. I have no boss. I have nowhere to clock in. And yeah, every show, it's just, and also I've had the excuse my whole life. Oh yeah, he's going to drink, he plays music. But finally I'm like, man, I'm like 31. Like, this isn't cute anymore. I got to like dial it back. And I got sick of this game. I felt like I was playing with myself in my head where I was like, yeah, I got to start drinking less. And it always became like this like negotiation. Like it was like, oh yeah, well tonight I'm only gonna this, and being at places where I'm having this whole conversation, I was like, I just want to be like eliminating. It's easier for me to walk into a bar or do something knowing I'm not going to drink at all than it is to be like, okay, only 2 or just that stuff where I'm just like tired of that. I'm tired of hangovers. My hangover started becoming so severe that it was just like, man, this is like the juice is not worth the squeeze anymore.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. And you're hearing Max Frost. He's live from Nashville, Tennessee. Max is going to be our guest on the podcast broadcast talking about trying to challenge himself to a year sobriety, just dropping the alcohol. But I want to know exactly what that means. Is it California sober? Things like that. We're going to keep the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast. Coming up this hour, not only will we have Mari's Would You Rathers, but I got brand new music from Max that we're going to debut with you here on the program. And it's a fantastic song that I know you're going to love. So stick around for that. We'll be back with more right after this. It's Sleep Theory's Numb on Rock 102.1. Okay. So yeah, so when you're sober and you challenge yourself, and again, it's a good physical reset, it's a mental reset, and it's a challenge. So you're like, hey, like, can I do this? since you've been. I mean, Max, he was one of these musicians, and it's not like he was drinking when he was 12, but he was in the Austin music scene at a very young age, like a prodigy, right? And he got signed to Atlantic Records at what age? Were you 18 or 19?
I was 20.
20, right? But still, even before drinking, but still growing up and playing around Austin is essentially around the bar scenes. And there is a little bit of like leniency when it comes to performers in those scenes. So were you drinking at a very young age?
This is an underage drinking story I've never told, but I used to play guitar backing up this fiddle. True. I mean, people throw the word prodigy around. I really wasn't a prodigy. I was like I was a really good young musician, but a true prodigy. One of the only ones I ever met was this girl named Ruby Jane. She, like at 14, could blaze on a fiddle. I mean, she would be in Willie Nelson's band on tour. She played in Asleep at the Wheel and all these huge bands, and she was just like blazing. So I met her and started playing guitar behind her whenever she was like 15 or 16, and I was like 17, 18, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I caught her mom stealing money from the band. Like, she would tell us, we would do these private shows where she would like tell us that we were going to get paid this, but then I'd find out that they'd been paid a lot. We'd been paid a lot more, and she was just scalping the money. Oh. Which, you know, if she'd been honest about that, it probably wouldn't have been a big deal, because like I would have understood that that was their livelihood or whatever. Beside the point, I called her out. She really didn't like that. And then the next show, we were playing at this place called Green Hall. We were opening for, I can't remember, someone who's now a big country act. I don't remember who it was at the time. But I'm on stage at Green Hall, and I remember, I just was accepted by bar people there. Once they saw I was a musician doing sound check or whatever, no one ever really ID'd me or double checked me on getting alcohol, right? So I remember during the sound check or right before the show, getting like a Jack and Coke or something like that, and walking toward the stage. And as I'm walking toward the stage, I remember her mom watches me do that. And I remember being like, oh man, she really hates me now, because I'd outed her to everyone in the group. I was like, hey man, I just want y'all to know, like, we actually got paid $1,000 for that. So this $100 is BS. Yeah. During the show, the woman who is like the owner of the place, Green Hall, cuts through the crowd, gets to my part of the stage, and looks at me in my eyes, where she reaches out, grabs the drink off the stage and throws it in the trash, and looks at me like that. And she walks away. Then she comes back. It's during the show. She comes back with 2 police officers that are standing there with her, and she points at me, and I'm in my head like, this is ridiculous. And in my back pocket, I had like literally an envelope of weed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In my back pocket. And then the cops go stand over here by the side stage.
Yeah.
In my head, the whole thing I'm thinking is like, all right, I got to get rid of this somehow. So the show ends. I look busy with my gear. I'm like grabbing stuff, but I know they're waiting for me. So as I walk off to set my stuff down, I go left into this bathroom and go to pee. I just throw it in the trash immediately. As I walk out, they're waiting for me, and they're like, hey, like, were you drinking up there? I'm like, no.
Right. No, absolutely not.
You got to come with us. So then they walk me out. They walk me outside, and the owner's like trying to get me to like admit it in front of them. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's just like, you're banned from here for life. And like all this. So yeah, shout out to Green Hall in Texas.
Have you ever gone back and played there?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, and you had to waste weed. And of course, in Texas, they're super strict about weed.
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, you would have been.
I could have gone to jail. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. And was that the last time you played with that band and that woman?
Yeah. Then she called me texted me the next day or something, Ruby. She's like, hey, like, Max, I've got to let you go. Like this, and that. And then I remember she said something else that was very like, like, I don't know, like her and I had started like writing some songs together, and even kind of duetting on some songs. And her mom was like really not for that. And I remember she said something along the lines of like, maybe we can do something again together. Like if you ever get kind of like success or something like that. And then like 3 years later, that was when I was 17 or 18. So maybe 3-4 years later, I had like a real career. And now when I see her or her mom, it's kind of like, haha, hey, good to see you guys. Like,
yeah.
Put in jail. Yeah. Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying your gigs
Yeah. So how's the little prodigy girl? What's she up to? She's still gigging around Austin then, not doing anything beyond local?
I'm not sure, which I would never sit here and stomp on anyone's career. I mean, Ruby's super talented, and I'm not really sure what's going on with her. And it's really more of a beef between her and her mom.
Yeah. You got love for her, but not her mom.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. I mean, I know she still played locally for like a long time. I mean, super talented player. But
Well, it sounds like her mom's the one that's getting in the way. Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, that sounds like a story a guy would have who ends up not drinking anymore.
Yeah. It's like the problems all started at a very young age. Yeah. Did you get paid for that gig that night? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah, I think I forfeited my $20 or whatever for kicked out of Green Hall.
Yeah, so you lost money too because you had to throw that weed away. So it hurts. So 60 days in, which is good because a lot of people they do the sober January or the dry January, right? And so you did it the right way. Just saying the same thing by doing like a New Year's resolution. You get ahead of it. You don't do it on New Year's because you're gonna fail. And studies have proven that. So you kind of made up your mind at the tail end of last year, probably immediately after we talked last time. You're like, you know what? My drinking is leading to me showing up on his show talking about some weird shit. So
it was starting to get a little out of hand then. I mean, like I had my excuses for that story, but that was where it was starting to get like, okay, this was funny when I was in my mid-20s, but this is just getting like, what am I doing?
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna get back on the air, but that is funny and coincidental for sure. Here, Rock on 2.1 KFMA, hanging out with Max Frost on the podcast broadcast, and Mari's in studio as well. What we like to do when Mari's in on Wednesdays is a little round of Would You Rather. Now, you know the old classic scenarios, Max, and I'd like to make you squirm as always as we ease in to debuting new music. So here's the deal: Mari's gonna give us a scenario. And then you have to weigh in on one or the other and why. All right. So there's no skirting around it. Some of these are thinkers. Some of them are less than thinkers. I will do the same. And that's what we're going to do. We'll do a couple of these on the air here on Rock 1 2.1. So no cursing. And it will get difficult. So, these are the scenarios that Mari's going to put us in hypothetically. So, Mari, what's her first would you rather?
All right. Would you rather spend 5 years in prison or 10 years in a coma?
Ooh, okay. This is very interesting. 5 years in prison or 10 years in a coma, Max. I mean, which one would you rather do?
I'm going to go with 10 in the coma because at least you A, don't experience the time. B, you wake up probably relatively the same person you were when you went to sleep. You are not coming out the same person from prison in 5 years. You're either going to be, I'm not even going to say it. Yeah, I'm going to go with the coma on that one.
Coma.
That's true. And Jeff agrees with you on the stream. I'm actually, Lisa said prison. And, 5 years in prison definitely changes a man. I've definitely known people who have been institutionalized within that time. And it is rough living. But I would have thought for sure, being an artist of your caliber, Max, you would have 5 more years to write and kind of create, and then you come out and drop that prison album, which will be straight bars.
I'm not trying to go Jelly Roll and like come out of prison with the whole album, man. That ain't for me, dude. Like
that's what he did. Jelly Roll would not be at with the level he's at today if he was just in a coma. He'd be skinny first off, and that ain't gonna sell records. And so okay. Well, I think that was a good answer. And, it's a debate that's on our stream right now. And you guys could join that discussion, youtube.com/beefvegan. Give us another one, Mari.
All right. Would you rather eat a face-sized scab or a tennis ball-sized booger?
See, now it's getting gross. All right. So these are straight out from the mind of Mari. Face-sized scab or tennis ball-sized booger. And then you could tell she's a mom of 2 toddlers who probably would eat
boogers
both.
all the time, more than tennis balls.
Yeah.
At least.
All right. Difficult decision here, Max Frost. You are on the record.
Face size scab, and you could kind of salt that and kind of, you could kind of like, you put a little garnish on that, like kind of cook that down till it's crisp. And it would be kind of like a crispy little, it'd be like a little bacon or something. Whereas the booger, what do you do? Putting that in a matzo ball soup or something? What do you?
Yeah, that's true. And it's so great that his amateur chef came out,
I know,
because
I
Max
know.
has been diving into the culinary
He
world
has.
and definitely busting out the food porn. That doesn't surprise me as well. You're like, I can make that a delicacy.
Yeah, you start thinking like Hannibal Lecter, like how would I eat this human body part in a way that is culinarily interesting with some farther beans and a nice Chianti.
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to have to agree with Max on that one. We'll keep the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast where we get a little racier. Also, you want to ask Max, because he's kind of in this situation. The running and the big story today is a bunch of pictures that are circulating and trending on Twitter, and they're all 100% fabricated, but it's Taylor Swift in compromising positions, just straight up porn, right? And at what point is it abuse? And at what point does it matter? And can it affect an artist, and so much more. I mean, there's so many ways to kind of look at this. We're going to talk about that with Max. And when we return, we're going to debut a brand new single from Max Frost off his latest EP, The Ghost, which you could stream everywhere. You're going to hear The Ghost live on Rock 1 2.1 next, so don't go away. Clear. All right. Did you see those images, by the way?
No, what is it?
Okay, so you know how AI is getting out of control as far as you could just create anything. In fact, actually, did you utilize AI at all for your album cover art at all?
No, not on this one, but I did for one single. I did use that. Yeah, it's
a wonderful resource, dude. I mean, honestly,
it's
yeah.
amazing.
And it's getting more and more realistic, more and more lifelike. And so right now, what's trending is Taylor Swift AI. And it's a bunch of just, like preposterous pornographic images, images of Taylor naked with actually like a butt, right? And you're just like, that's not believable whatsoever. But there's also like pornographic images of her with like Cookie Monster, or I'm sorry, Oscar the Grouch and Mr. Krabs. But then there's some even more graphic that I can't even show on the stream. I'll show one briefly real quick. To give you an example of the realism that you could see. Now, of course, Swifties, fans, Twitter, they're all like reacting in a visceral way. They're calling it abuse and assault, and rightfully so. But this is only the beginning, because with like programs like Midjourney or any deep fakes, now we're at a point where any celebrity crush that we choose, or any celebrity that we don't like, or any politician, right? We could literally make a bona fide sex tape that would be deceptive to the naked eye. It's getting that good and that scary.
Ugh.
Yeah. Here's a quick little Taylor pic with her Mr. Krabs doing a Krabby style. Okay. So it's only going to be a brief second. Keep your eye on the screen. There you go.
Oh, man.
I know. And her face looks accurate. And then on Twitter, there's a ton. And they get a little more graphic than that. So obviously revenge porn was outlawed about 15 years ago, and
What is revenge porn?
see, this is even before your time, because you're a young man. But what happened was, at the beginning of the kind of internet and it exploding, there was all these different sites where people would actually submit naked pictures or pornographic pictures or videos of their ex-girlfriends or boyfriends to these websites. These websites were wildly popular. They were kind of like rag mags out there. And it made it to a way where, it definitely affected a lot of people. And after about, I say 18 months of the boom, it was all shut down and they made it a felony. So you can't share any kind of naked image. But at this point, now you don't even need a naked image of your ex. Like, I don't need you to send me a naked picture, right? I just take a picture of your face, or, and then go to this program and put naked, and I have like a lifelike naked picture.
Right.
Yeah. Now you're in a situation, as you continue to put yourself out there, you got a large following on TikTok and Instagram. Does this kind of stuff scare you, or is it like much ado about nothing because you know that it's fake?
Well, I just hope that if AI is generating me into stuff like this, that I look good.
Yeah.
I don't, I just hope that I look good in it. That's all I really have to say about that. Because what are you going to do? Like, I guess the real question is like, what are you going to do? I mean, to me, even before AI, there was like super Photoshopped looking fake nudes of celebrities for forever. And
yeah, that's true.
I guess that all of a sudden there's just this influx of people making this stuff of Taylor Swift, or like, I assume there's probably been stuff like this of Taylor Swift since the beginning of her career. I mean, I don't know when. Has this been new for her or?
Yeah, it's not the first photoshopped porn image of Taylor Swift that I've seen. But I hang out in the cesspools of the internet, so you know.
I mean, that I've seen.
Yeah. But you know, but I think you're absolutely right. And it's what's funny too is that a lot of these images are flattering in a way. Like there was one bikini image where she has like D cups and like 8-pack abs and like wide hips. I'm like, yeah, she wishes it'd be fantastic. I mean, she's gorgeous, but I'm like, there you go. I mean, that's like super stacked fitness model version of Taylor Swift. Right. But I mean, it is causing the conversation, and there are different governments throughout the world, like the EU, are trying to figure out ways to regulate and to prosecute people who create AI images, and then also coming up with the technology to be able to tell what's real from what's fake, which is the biggest problem.
Yeah, that's going to be that to me is a bigger problem than a picture of Mr. Krabs and Taylor Swift. Like when you get a text from the phone of the person you know, and it's me being like in a video, me being like, hey, what's up, dude? Beef. Hey, man, sorry. Like, I'm right here by the gas station, dude. Can you just Venmo me like $20, bro? I'm sorry. Like, it's a long story. I'll explain later.
Yes.
Like, that's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Get down. Think about this. I've even had the experience of matching with the girl on a dating app and talking a little bit and just kind of getting all of a sudden a sense like, this person never wants to get on the phone. I don't know if this is real, and kind of blowing it off. And then like weeks later, seeing the girl on a totally different thing on TikTok, where I'm like, oh, that's like a kind of famous girl, and letting her know like, hey, just so you know, someone's using your pictures to blah, 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 blah. And imagine if that actually was to the point of like, I'm FaceTime. Like you could literally fake. Like imagine if it's the same way that you can have a filter on your face, like on an Instagram story, you could eventually just do it where it's just you being a different person.
Oh, yep. Yeah. With the voice as well. And that's what it really comes down to. And there's going to be tons of lonely people out there being victimized over and over again. We had catfishing before, but this is a whole nother extreme, because at least before you're like, hey, let me FaceTime to see if you're real. Send me some real pictures. Now they can do it all on demand. And then even like fake the voice to where you think you're falling for somebody that you're not, so that's.
Did you see that Manti Te'o documentary?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that was even before the technology, but
I mean, that person deserves some kind of an Emmy award, I guess, or I don't know what. For being
impressive.
But he also kind of deserves a raspberry for thinking for like years that this person's like, come on, man. Like you never could get on a face. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I know.
Like that's just like that is
right. And you're in this position of like, super alpha, great looking kid, like, rich, and like got the world in the palm of your hands, and you're wasting your time with somebody that won't meet you at all. Like no red flags pop up.
It does not add up. And they never fully address that. It's like,
no.
So dude, you were a Heisman candidate and had never met her, and you've been dating for a year. Come on.
Right. And virgin and everything else. So, part of that was, I know. Yeah. I know. I felt for him, but at the same time, yes, there was a lot of questions where it's like, you did this to yourself. And I don't know if you're 100% being honest on this. Like you might have banged a dude.
Kind of knew, or I don't know.
It's possible. And and you both don't want to admit that. And that's fine. And not anything wrong if you did, but
let's just not pretend here that,
yeah, it was great though. It was great. We got about minute 10, and we're gonna get into the Ghost and this EP. And so, what's the plan for you? Have this 4 songs being released? Is this all part of a bigger project that you're releasing?
Yeah, so I think there'll be 5 or 6 songs on this EP. There's gonna be like 2 more songs that come out on the EP when it's out here. In about a month. I'm doing a show.
I only saw 4 songs on this CD or the EP.
They're out, right? So like the Ghost is out. I've dropped like 4 of the songs, and then when the EP comes out, there'll be 2 more. So it's 6 total. And
nice.
The plan is to, what is anyone's plan at this point? Post on
I know.
the plan. Yeah.
Well, I'll showcase some of Max's work on which I do. I share it all the time. So if you follow me, you see my stories, you'll see Max getting creative with video, doing self-produced videos and graphics and music videos. It's always fun. So we got about 10 seconds. We're going to do a quick introduction of the song. You're going to tell me a little bit about it, and we're going to play it on the radio for the first time. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents. That was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, As You Know. That's a song that you've heard on the radio many times before. How about listening to some music you never heard on the radio before? We got brand new music from Max Frost that we want to debut with you right now. And I got Max on the podcast broadcast all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. And he just dropped an EP called The Ghost with the title track being a song that a lot of his fan base have been buzzing about and reaching out to him about. So Max, tell me about The Ghost. What's the premise behind this? And is it kind of like a modern day, slang version of the definition of?
No, actually, the song I wrote after my grandfather passed away, who he was kind of like my father, really functionally in a way. And, but the song was written as part of this song game club that I've been a part of for many years. And I kind of wrote it and put it away, but I think it gets interpreted by people as a relationship song, which I'm kind of okay with that, because that's kind of the aim I have of writing stuff, is I want it to be a little bit of some blank canvas there for someone to project their own life onto it. I think that this one succeeds at doing that. I mean, I think that loss kind of works in a way. A breakup can kind of be like a death. I think that a song about death could also be a song about it. It's like however you interpret it,
No, I relate to that. My last relationship definitely turned into The Ghost, but it's somewhat of a poltergeist because every now and then I get haunted by it. But let's get into the debut right here off the EP, The Ghost, streaming everywhere you stream music. It's Max Frost on Rock 102.1 KFMA. Clear, and I got it playing right now. Nice.
Awesome.
Babuski. Yeah, and I like I got your back, and I think the song's beautiful too. But that's the way that you need to do art, is make it, up to other people's interpretation.
We were talking about you the other day. Taylor Upsall was in town, and we did a session with this guy, Mike Elizondo.
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
I know of him, yeah. Yeah,
man. So he's a beast. I worked with him once 10 years ago, but he's got this new compound out in the middle of nowhere here that's just insane. I mean, it's literally like this 50-acre ranch with this massive, massive studio on it. And he was telling us crazy stories about how this guy's life and career is it's fake. The stuff he talks about. Oh yeah, man. He's like, I was with Dr. Dre and we were trying to make beats for the 8 Mile movie. We made this beat. We thought it was for D12. And then that day that we made the beat, Eminem calls us and is like, "Hey man, there's this guy in New York named 50 Cent. We gotta work with him."
They was in the club.
D12 passes on the beat. Dre's like, "Oh man, I think this beat's massive though." The first day that they meet 50 Cent in the same studio, 2 months later, they play him the beat and it's in the club, and he writes the whole song in 30 minutes and stuff like that. But me and Upsall were talking about you to him. We were like, "Yeah, we actually met because of this guy who was in Phoenix at the time, who was introduced us and stuff,
Nice. She's actually coming to Tucson in May. It was just announced on the other day. Psycho Steve's bringing her down, so hopefully I will get her in studio. And then I reached out, I got a heads up from an artist that we know, Ray L, right, who's a local artist. She's a little pop artist, very talented and stuff, and she puts on a good show and has in that range in early mid-20s. And so she reached out to her. She's like, "Oh my gosh, she's coming." And I was like, "Cool." I'm like, "You want to be on that show?" Because I feel like it's at Club Congress. I'm like, I feel like that would be a good fit and would help us sell that show out. Because last time Taylor was here, it sold well, but it didn't sell out. And it's a Wednesday night, so there's a lot of obstacles in a way. So I reached out to the promoter and dropped her name and stuff. So hopefully we'll kind of put those pieces together. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I do. That's great though. And hopefully I get to see her when she rolls through. When are you going to come through Arizona? Are you planning on touring anytime soon?
I don't know. Part of me is I haven't really toured since the pandemic. And
Oh,
the
wow.
further I get from touring, the more I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to do that again.
Mhm.
No, you do want to do that again. We're back on the air, by the way. Rock 102.1 KFMA. That's Max Frost. You just heard his song, The Ghost. And the only way you're going to hear his song is by streaming it, apparently, because he's afraid to leave his house since pandemic.
Yeah, I don't, because I've really lived the Pirates life of touring, man. Like, even when I was opening for
Yes.
21 Pilots, I've never had the cushy bus. I've
No, I
never
know.
been, I've been vanning it the whole time, which is sort of a badge of honor in a way, but also I'm like, I may stay home and just do the song,
Well, that's unfortunate because what you guys don't know about Max is when he does, or if you have caught him in Tucson, because he has performed in Tucson before, he does this fantastic, like, one-man band style of performance that you've never seen before. And the way that he loops, and he's a multi-instrumentalist, and it's so interactive, and just seeing him cook on stage is that like a mad scientist.
Right.
And it's so fantastic to see. So it's an experience. And of course, the music is like rock solid as well, and makes for just a great overall experience. So I hope that eventually, you'll hit the road again. I know that since pandemic, you built this huge following on like TikTok and social media because all the different creative endeavors that you put out. And Max definitely knows the game on how to connect with that like TikTok generation. And a part of his his hook or his angles was he would take suggestions from followers saying, okay, name like 2 artists, and it would say like Radiohead and like Pink Floyd, and he would put together a mashup, an original mashup, being like, here is what Radiohead would sound like if they were in Pink Floyd. And I wanted to ask you, based off all these different mashups that you did, like how much of that, like going down that creative exercise of trying to like emulate the sounds of artists that you're a fan of and mash them together, inspired you and the music that you created off this last EP, or did it?
I think it did in a way, because when you spend a lot of time doing like character acting as a producer or as a singer, you start to hone more in on like, well, what is the thing that is my thing?
Yeah.
Maybe not so much as a singer, but more like, I guess you also kind of realize that it's almost like AI or something, describing it to AI. It's like, well, I can make it sound like anything I want. So what do I want it to sound like? Instead of you're just sort of letting it sound like what it accidentally sounded like when you made it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess, yeah, I almost feel like, which now I've seen stuff where people are using AI to create. When the AI voices thing came out and was big on TikTok, I was like, yeah, I don't know why anyone would watch my channel anymore, because this is doing the voice a lot better than I can.
I know, but at least you have that original, like, this is not AI. I mean, you're going to have like a ticker going around the bottom of the videos being like, this is not AI. This is actual human talent working on this.
Yeah, this is NFT approved. This is tokenized, real.
So I know, so stupid. We're going to continue the conversation on the podcast broadcast with Max. You can join us, youtube.com/bevegan. Coming up after the break, your TMI top 5 things you never want to hear a woman say to you. I have a list that I want to share with all the guys, and I have a feeling that most of you guys have heard this time and time again. So we'll break that down next on Be Vegan Presents, so don't go away. Clear.
Okay, I'm curious though. Do you think not drinking helps your creative process, or do you think
Has it?
I mean, I would think it does.
Too early for me to say. I've also
Right.
been like not very creative this past month because I just bought a house and all I'm doing right now is like setting it up. I'm like
That's fun, no? And
like,
it's good.
back
So
there.
this is the new house. The last time we talked to you, you were in
Oh.
this kind of like mahogany man cave, right? It had a lot of
still
wood.
exists. I just got that rented out right now. I've just bought this house and I'm setting it up to be something I can also rent out for, stability as I wait for these interest rates to calm the sea.
Uh-huh.
I like that. So that's kind of like your side hustle that you've been building up now, then, huh?
Very much so. Yeah, this has kind of been a target here for like 6 months. I've been on the hunt, and I think I did well here. I really love this house, but it's still like it's a construction site right now. I mean, it's just like I have like one chair and a bed, and otherwise I'm painting and doing all this stuff and figuring it out.
That's fun. I actually think that's a great way to take a mental break and kind of
Mhm.
build the creativity up. You never know what might inspire you. Let's circle back real quick because it is such a massive deal that you and Upsall did a collaboration songwriting with Mike Elizondo. Because what you got to realize, and I don't know if you notice this or anyone on the stream is really catching that, who he is literally the sound of Dr. Dre.
Wow.
From the Chronic 2001. He is the keyboard and multi-instrumentalist. So when Dr. Dre was like, I want something like burr, 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 and Mike would be like, you mean like this? He was that guy. Or Mike would say, hey, I got this bass line. What do you think of this? And then Dre would put it to drums and it would be like, forget about Dre or something like that. It was like,
what was crazy is how much there was even more stuff that he had done that I didn't even know he had done or that Dre had done. Like he was talking about how he was playing, he brought his stand-up bass because he's like a jazz trained bass player. And he had his bow and he was playing something on the bass and he played the jun 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 jun.
Yeah, Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige track and just so much stuff that they've done that but it's just insane how much of it there is. And also kind of the weird like the serendipity of everything with them is unbelievable. Like I've had some great first sessions. You know, I've had some people where you meet them or you see them meet each other and it's immediately a chemistry. That the amount of times from these legends, the Dr. Dre meets like Eminem for the first time, and in the first day that they meet, in the first 5 minutes, plays him a beat, and immediately Eminem's like, "Hi, my name is," like, how I've never seen anything like that. So the fact that he's been around so much of that stuff is amazing and has been a part of it is amazing. And it was cool to go there and work. But yeah, I really like this direction that Taylor's on. I think that all this new music she's going to make is going to make waves for sure.
So the deal was she went there to meet with Mike and then you. So like the three of you are collaborating to do some songwriting sessions. So you're going to be like a producer writer or you're attempting to be a producer writer on that. Yeah.
I'm almost just kind of like in the room to start scribbling at stuff whenever she's got a direction or whatever, you know.
I love, you see, I just love that relationship and over the years as it continues to blossom and how like you guys work together as, you know, I mean, how many songs do you think you guys have written together?
We've written a lot of songs together. I mean, I wish that there was more. I've always felt creative with her. You know, it's weird. It's like there are certain people who are like really talented and have had a lot of success that I can get in a room with them. And it's for some reason their vibe dries me out. I'm just like, yeah, I have no ideas. Whereas she's always kind of the opposite. You know, we've always bounced off of each other really well, but she's, I mean, you know, a monster writer on her own.
And she started off, keep in mind, she started off as a fan of yours, Max, which is such a beautiful thing too, because I was playing the shit out of White Lies and other tracks too, but it really started with White Lies, a single that Max had on Atlantic Records. You know, just it kind of blew me away. And so I took it upon myself to make that like a part of the sound of the show, like heavy rotation. And she was listening to the show every morning with her dad on the way to school. And
he just turned 50, by the way, Mike Upsall. Shout out to
yes, he did. And looking like he's 40, this guy's a stud. I'm just like, son of a bitch, Mike. Well, how do you do it? And he's like, I just party. I'm just a rock star. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to do the same thing. And I'm sad that I was working that night down in Tucson. But his party looked like a fun deal. A lot of people came together for Mike. I mean, it just goes to show that whole family dynamic is a beautiful thing. And the fact that, you know, like an artist, and I don't know too much of your like growing up, I don't know if we ever dove deep, but like, you know, a lot of like great art is inspired by, you know, tragedy and abuse and things like this. You know, with art, an artist like Upsall who just writes so effortlessly and communicates so well. She grew up in such a fantastic family environment, who are open-minded and loving and caring. So none of that stuff. What about you, Max? I mean, you had your grandfather kind of be your like dad. What was your upbringing like?
I mean, I have a really, really great mom. I've had a lot of people in my life who have kind of stepped up to the plate for me. I mean, I think there's as much positivity and awesome stuff that I'm lucky for in the beginning of my life, as there is kind of bizarre tragedy and stuff like that. You know, I've definitely seen a lot of death since I was young. Like my brother passed away when I was 9 and he was 18. And
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, no, I've seen a lot of stuff, man. What I haven't seen recently is my computer charger, but I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna plug this in and keep this going.
I want to see this house too. Are you on Red Bar right now?
Fireplace.
I am. I'm gonna resurrect though. We're gonna be fine. I'm not panicking.
Okay.
I'm just like
I like that brick chimney in the center of that house.
I
yeah,
know,
there's a
it's
lot of
beautiful.
like old brick. No, this is a nice spot, man. I mean, it's literally all like paint I'm testing. I'm literally in here like painting right now and doing all this
Oh.
insanity. But I better find this computer.
Oh, dude, get a guest room going on. I'll visit Nashville and not drink with you.
No, it's gonna be
I'll
set
smoke weed
up
though.
as a great place for people to visit. That was kind of part of the inspiration. You know, I've always lived in places where I'm like, you kind of like hate to have like, you know, the mother-in-law in town or anyone where you're like, like, is this really nice enough for them? So I finally want to have something set up where it's like really a great place for people to come visit.
Yeah, no, I like the vaulted ceilings and yeah, it looks really
Oh,
cool.
it's got really high ceilings. Dude, where is the dang charger, bro? But yeah, and check this out. I just made this thing the other day. This chandelier took me a long.
Ooh.
I had to put it together. Don't buy a chandelier on Amazon unless you're ready to spend about 8 hours.
Yes.
No
For
joke.
Amazon, that's nice.
It was an 8-hour journey.
Wow.
Just piecing it together, huh?
We got there. We finally
Yeah.
got there. I was seriously like, do you have to wire it yourself? I was literally like, oh, never mind. I should return this.
Yeah.
But then, you know, something else took over.
You figured it out. and it worked too. It was lit up. So
Mhm,
I
it looks
mean
nice.
now it's Max Frost, musician / culinary chef / electrician / home renovator.
Oh yeah.
You're coming up with all these slashes, bro.
Many
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
/ sober guru.
sober.
Yeah.
I don't deserve that title yet. It's funny. I like when you start doing this, you got to be, you know, you can tell there's no point in
Yes.
telling anyone until I'm at least
Yes.
at the point I'm at now. Like when
Right.
you're like, yeah, man, I've decided I'm not drinking for a year. And people are like, well, how long have you made it? Like, oh, 4 days. It's like,
Yeah.
you got to wait.
I know.
And
I don't think
I know I'm going to do it, but it's just like, now I'm finally at the point where I kind of talk about it because, you know, it's been longer than most people are going to
Yeah.
do. Most people, let's be honest with ourselves. Like most people, they're like, yeah, I'm going to do dry January. And by the second week, they're like, well, I mean, it's Clara's birthday and I got to this, I got to that. And they, you know, they fall off. And it's like,
There's
well,
always an occasion.
there's
There
always,
is.
especially in Nashville, there's always a reason.
Oh, I bet.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
So-
mean that place is overflowing with booze.
And that's
Yeah,
great.
I don't think I've been drinking for a while. I mean, I think I've had like one drink since I had my first kid like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I love it. I don't miss drinking at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I always get offered drinks like during the week, and I pass them up. It's Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to B Figure Presents. Talk with Max Frost as he's talking about his sober journey right now, about 2 months in, and we're talking about our own drinking habits. And like when I drink, I only drink to get drunk, and so like when I don't, if I'm having dinner and I'm offered a drink, I don't want to just have a drink. To me, that's just empty calories, right? So what's the point of that? If you know, like I could just drink some water, or if I want something with flavor, something with less calories, I would do that. So it made it easier than others. And I guess, you know, when you went, Max, I mean, you've been this musician, right? And partying in Nashville, Tennessee, which is very easy to get caught into a routine of going out and drinking every night. When you started going sober, did you feel like you were getting any like withdrawals, or was it difficult at first? Any sweats, or were you just like, no, this is going to just be a new normal?
I think it's like it's the new normal. I mean, the nice thing is I've done a month off many times, and I've never been in the month off like, oh, I'm so miserable. I'm always like, wow, this is actually, I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mhm.
everything gets easier, and you feel like you've doubled the amount of time you have in your life to do things. I think that the really difficult part is two things. One, you have to get used to being in your own skin 24/7 when you're awake. And that's something that I think at the heart of drinking, it's really kind of a spiritual pursuit of a release. You're sort of looking for like I want a way to kind of blur or like just kind of distance myself from myself a little bit. And then I know that sounds a little heavy, but I think in a lighthearted way, that's kind of what all drinking is.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, let's just kind of blur the edges, take the edge off. You have to get used to that not really being a possibility.
Mhm.
And you have to find other ways to seek that out. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like, and also the other hard part is to not be like, I mean, I feel amazing. So like, what's one drink? Why not?
Right.
So you can convince
Right.
yourself that like you've done what you thought you were there to achieve doing.
Yeah, like we were saying on the stream, there's always an occasion, there's always a reason, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, I had a good day today. My boss said I did good. Salute, or whatever the case.
But I think one really helpful, and again, I don't encourage anyone to need to get to this place in their head, but I guess I now just have such a museum of memories of just brutal hangovers. I mean, just brutal in an airport at 7 a.m. Just absolute pain. I can kind of go back to that. And even if I'm in a moment, like New Year's was tough, right? I'm doing New Year's and I'm sitting there and I'm like, really?
Mhm.
I'm like having this conversation, like, I'm really doing this?
Were you at a party on New Year's? Were you out and about on New Year's Eve?
It was low key, but I'm doing stuff with people and it's when you have that moment of, gosh, I would like to drink right now.
Right.
So much easier to weigh how hard is it to let this thought pass versus how hard was it to get through one day
Exactly.
of waking up in because I think it's different. I think people talk about a hangover younger or people who really haven't done that kind of like continuous drinking where you're at that place where a hangover is not like, oh, I feel a little bad. It's like, dude, this is a deleted day. This is
Yes.
a day of crawling through
Yep.
existence
Mhm.
where
Eating
you're-
greasy, staying in bed, and just not
Oh.
answering the phone. I know.
Yes,
It is a wasted day.
I mean, truly, and just wishing. Oh, I mean, that's just like that's
And once you get past 40, that's a wasted 2 days because you don't want to get out of bed for the
Right?
second day either. Yeah.
It was getting to that place where there was even a day after the hangover, there was still kind of something left. But I guess for me, it's like a tool, right? It's like, it's a tool that really worked for me for a while that started kind of not working for me that I need, that I'm just like, I'm going to be so used to living my life without it that then after a year, the conversation of whether it's in my life or not becomes not this big deal. It becomes, well, I already know I can live my life fully and happily without it because then it's just kind of like, I don't know.
Well, what about
is Coke Zero? I've got a huge Coke Zero problem.
Yes, I love soda.
you
I don't
trained out
drink,
on
but I
that.
love soda.
Well, what about weed then? Did you substitute for weed or are you going no weed?
So I've already kind of had, it's basically like what just happened with alcohol already happened for me with weed a long time ago. Like I started smoking a lot of weed when I was like 16 and on, and I was like a chronic smoker. And then one day in my early 20s, it was like, oh, whoa, this makes me feel really awful now. Like really paranoid, really anxious. I tried the different angles. Oh, it's because I'm just, I think that if you overdo that too young for too long, something neurological flips over where like the part of your brain that receives the positive stimulus is just like, yeah, this is not, it just starts sending you down to the panic room instead of, and man, like it seems to have lasted. It like, even if I get like a little like secondhand high or something around someone, I'm like, oh wow, I can feel that tingly, torturous feeling, which is so bizarre.
Torturous.
Yeah.
I agree.
Hold on, thought we got to continue the conversation on the podcast broadcast. There, I'm also, we didn't do the TMI top 5, which I don't want to do anymore. But there is a teacher in Kentucky that banged a bunch of students, and not that I want to talk about that, but there is a quote from there that I have to share with you. And we'll be back with the beef tip right after this. More with Max Frost. You can join us youtube.com/beefvegan. Yeah, sorry, I was pre-selling. I was like, oh, you guys got to do this, but yeah, I completely relate on that too. It does make you paranoid. Did you see, we talked about this before we started the stream about that girl who got stoned with this guy she was dating, 26-year-old guy, and she stabbed the guy 100 times, killed him. And the judge gave her 100 hours of community service, right? Basically let her off with murder because they said they said that the weed gave her a psychotic episode.
Yep.
Now she's an attractive girl, right? Young girl, educated girl. And that was the defense that worked. And it's just like, that's ridiculous. So, but some people, they have different reactions. I don't know if there was a point there.
I would have to assume that they proved some history of mental illness there or something else.
No. And the victim's family cried that when the verdict was given, that it warned that it basically gave everyone who smokes marijuana in the state of California a license to kill, which I see that argument. And I'm like, okay, you're saying that with it's okay that she accidentally killed someone when she was high because the weed made her psychotic. Then what about cocaine, methamphetamine, PCP, spice, all this other shit that literally makes you psychotic? Right? Is it okay to commit crimes on that stuff then because it was a psychotic break? I mean, it is a very confusing case, and I'll show you it right now.
I'll say this, and rest in peace to the victim of that horrible crime. And
yes.
My heart goes out to his family. If I'm in a room with someone I'm on a date with and they have a knife, I'm walking out of there.
Yes.
I'm going, whoa. What's
yeah. Yeah. I'd be like, this is the family. Unfortunately, they're devastated by this. This is a girl again. She's was attractive-ish, and I think that obviously being a attractive Caucasian woman in a court of law definitely benefits you at times. So that had something to do with it. I'm pretty sure there wouldn't have been the same result if it was something different. Now let's switch gears.
I'm going O.J. Simpson if that happens to me. And I'm walking out of there. I'm leaving a glove behind, and they're going to find me in a Bronco somewhere heading north on the 5. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now
let me talk about this. Now, real quick, I don't celebrate or talk about teachers banging male students. Female teachers banging male students. I don't celebrate that. I do know that it's a form of abuse, and I recognize that. Now, this situation is a teacher's aide who's like 39 years old, and she got busted for having sexual relations with a lot of teenage boys. A lot. Now, this is in Kentucky. Now, this is what she looks like dressed up, and just to showcase what we got here. Now, she was wildcatting. She had a husband, she had kids, but she was actually giving her teenage boys from ages 14 to 16 like t-shirts that say like I heart hot moms. Right? This is a very Kentucky thing. The only reason why I want to share this story with you is because while reading this story, I came across a quote from a Kentucky parent that made me while I was by myself laugh out loud and be like, holy effing shit. Now, you've been to Kentucky, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So here's the deal in defense. A lot of the parents, in Kentucky were just like, hey, these are just boys getting a piece of ass. What's the big deal? Right. So a lot of parents didn't want to press charges with their son slept with this woman.
Wow.
So there's a handful of parents that do, but then there's a handful of parents that just don't even want the law involved. Right. They're like, we got this handled. Now, she was having these situations and relationships. At one time, she went to like a dirt bike track, and she ended up hooking up boys with some alcohol and with some dip, and then ended up sleeping with multiple boys at the same time. One parent said, right, and basically talking about how the boys were victims in this, is the quote was, pull this up. I want to read it verbatim, because it's the best damn quote I've ever read. And I promise it will deliver, but I'll go word for word here. Give me 2 seconds. All right. So the boys, okay. All right. Here's the quote. She admitted to trying to bribe the boys with booze and chewing tobacco, with one concerned parent telling the Daily Mail, I can't even imagine a scenario of how this unfolded. What young boy isn't going to gangbang a woman giving him alcohol and dip? Sorry. And for whatever reason, that made me crack up.
Well, I like that you got in character for that.
I had to.
Character.
We're back on the air real quick. It's Rock 102.1 KFMA. But yes, I mean, just that sentence alone, I'm just like, oh my God, that's so Kentucky. And she's right, though. I mean, honestly, the alcohol and dip will make you do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Is that my beef tip? No, it's not.
I'm imagining that scene in The Sandlot where they all get the dip and they get on the Ferris wheel and throw up, but it twisting into a whole different version of The Sandlot where suddenly they're hanging out with the teacher. You know, that's like a South Park scene right there. I don't know.
Yeah, they're going to make a sequel and they're going to call it The Sandbox. It'll be a little different, but you know, we have to wrap up the show. But my beef tip to you is definitely check out Max Frost's new EP, The Ghost, streaming wherever you stream music. It's fantastic. Right now, it's a 4-song EP. Max has a deep catalog, and also he's wildly entertaining, whether it's his YouTube page or his TikTok or Instagram. So make sure you follow at Max Frost. Is it at Max Frost Music?
Yes, on TikTok and just at Max Frost anywhere else.
Nice. There you go. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for the show, but I'd like to thank Max for joining me. Mari, thank you so much for coming in as well. And most importantly, thank you guys for listening. Robin Nash is up next. You enjoy the rest of your day. Drive safe, ride safe, and as always, rock local. Later.
When you
Stand by, Max. And thank you guys for watching the stream.
Soon will come an end to all your grief. But if you've been mean or kind of bad, I will knock out all your teeth.
Babu